Vitor Pereira, your P45 is on the way. See you later, son. Wolves have lost 3-2 to Burnley today, and let's speak about the game. Now, in terms of the game, Wolves started absolutely dreadfully. I think in that first 20 minutes to half an hour, genuinely, it could be the worst football I've seen in the last 5 years. The level, or the lack of level, really, the lack of quality, the distinct lack of quality, lack of conviction, lack of energy as well was really, really concerning. And Wolves looked, let's be honest, absolutely dire. Ultimately, Burnley go 2-0 up. Fleming scores both. I think there's a bit of an argument maybe on the second one that it's a foul, but ultimately, Fleming is that type of player. He always has been that type of player ever since he was at Millwall. He is a physical striker, and I think it's a little bit soft from Krejci personally. I think he knows exactly what he's doing. And then ultimately, the first Fleming goal is a really, really good finish. Now, obviously, again, you can't deal with a bouncing ball in this level in the Premier League. You can't deal with a long ball. You don't deserve to be in the Premier League if you can't defend a situation like that. And again, Krejci wasn't great for that at all. And ultimately, Wolves are in a massive disadvantage already. 20 minutes in, they're 2-0 down, and you're thinking this could be 3 or 4. And then they decide to turn it on, don't they? Obviously, get that goal, the first goal, and ultimately the second one comes relatively quickly. And I think in terms of the game, it's a really annoying one because, like I say, there are some positives. Ultimately, Wolves came back from 2-0 down. Great. They've lost 3-2. It doesn't really matter, does it? Now, in terms of tactically, I think the lineup, if we start with the lineup, really, a few strange decisions for me. Dropping Joao Gomez seemed a bit of a mad one. I thought when he come on, he was really good. Obviously, off the back of the Sunderland game, as I said in that game, probably his worst performance I've ever seen him having a Wolves shirt, but I wouldn't have taken him out of the lineup personally. I think Minetti was actually decent. Again, and I said I would have started him just for his energy. And then taking Andre off I felt was the right decision. Now, Rodrigo Gomez was such a strange one because I looked at it and thought, what a weird, I didn't think he did enough to keep his place in the lineup, put it that way. Obviously, Hwang is just returning from injury as well, so he didn't start the game. But for me, it just felt so strange. And then ultimately, I think Rodrigo Gomez played relatively decent. I think you look at the last minute goal and it's absolutely stinking, but it's just such a mad game to even try and break down, to even try and discuss. Obviously, Burnley, let's make it abundantly clear. After they went 2-0 up, Wolves absolutely peppered them. They really did. Towards that last 20 minutes of that, the second half, Wolves were really impressive. Burnley were soaking up pressure, yes, and Wolves were piling on the pressure. And I think Tuchura did really well when he came on, a few nice, decent deliveries into the box and stuff like that. But ultimately, Wolves didn't get their goal. And when you don't take your chances, it allowed Burnley to get Ugochukwu to go down, who definitely wasn't injured. A bit of gamesmanship there, I think. But Ugochukwu goes down, kills the sting at the game, takes the sting out of the game. A few throw-ins come here and there after that for Burnley. And then the goal comes. And again, calamitous defending. I mean, Johnston, could you argue he could do better? Maybe. But how on earth he's got to that position in the first place is ludicrous. And Lyle Foster, as much as people might think he's one of the worst number 9s in the league, I don't think he is personally, but ultimately he's not going to miss that. Most Premier League number 9s aren't going to miss that. And then Wolves lose the game 3-2. Now, it's such a weird one. Vitor Pereira has to go. Make that abundantly clear. Vitor Pereira needs to leave. Now, who do Wolves bring in? Massive problems. I mean, to be fair, the way it's going, Nuno might be available next week from West Ham, to be fair. But in terms of Wolves' next managerial appointment, I've got my suggestions, I've got my recommendations, and there may be another video on it, given the fact that I did do one earlier this week. There may be another one on that if a few more doors open for Wolves or a few more of the rumours start to circle for managers. But I do think that is the final nail in the coffin. You cannot lose at home to Burnley. On paper, by far, in my opinion, the easiest game in the calendar. Not to mention the other game that should have been the easiest game in the calendar. They've also lost 3-1 to Leeds. Now, conceding 6 goals to Leeds and Burnley at home is absolutely abysmal. And Wolves have given themselves a massive mountain to climb going into the rest of the season. They've got to go to Turf Moor away. They've got to go to Ellen Road away. Luckily, they've got Sunderland who, to be fair, they're not going to be relegation candidates, but people could have, would have put them in the conversation at the start of the season. And ultimately, luckily, they've got the Stadium of Light out of the way, but ultimately, Wolves are in huge trouble, absolutely massive trouble. Now, I'd love to know your thoughts on it as well. I really would appreciate hearing your thoughts on it. Also, if you haven't already, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. It's free. There's 67% of you who watch these videos who aren't subscribed, and I really would appreciate it. But I do think, as a club, Wolves, overall, if you look at a full package, it is the worst club for a player to look at to want to join in January, which is another big concern. You've got fans who, let's be honest, aren't up for the games at all because of the dross that they're watching on the pitch. The atmosphere is the worst I've seen it since the Championship League One days. And let's be honest, the football is turgid. The quality or the lack of quality in the squad really is pretty clear for all to see, I would say. Most agents won't be advising their clients to go there, put it that way. You look at the manager situation, there's no stability there. Vitor Pereira won't be there for long. The owners, the worst owners in the top flight, in my personal opinion, by far the worst owners in the Premier League. I think they are absolutely abysmal. And of course, again, who's going to want to deal with those owners with that sort of reputation that they've got? And let's be honest, there is one slight positive if Wolves do go down. And that positive is that Fosun will get straight out of there. Jeff Shee, straight out of there. And let's be honest, Wolves could probably rebuild and come relatively straight back up. But, it's mad that after 8 years in the Premier League, we're sat here discussing Wolves going down. I mean, you look at the over the years, it's just been a gradual decline, hasn't it? And people thought that, finishing 12th was bad. People thought finishing 10th was bad, stuff like that. I think any Wolves fan would snap your hand off for 17th this season. I really do. And there is a huge mountain to climb now. And the fact that Burnley have now managed to get another 3 points today, I mean, it could not have gone as a whole weekend, as a package, for Wolves fans worse. +3 for Sunderland. Not in the conversation, of course, but +3 for Sunderland. +3 for Leeds. +3 for Burnley against them. Now, that is as bad a weekend as you could possibly have predicted, and it's a big job now that Wolves have got, not only to replace the manager, but to first of all get rid of the manager, second of all replace him, third of all get to January, get the right players in, the right quality in, and ultimately turn this fan base around. And I don't see that happening very easily at all whatsoever. With the current state that the fans are in, everyone and their dog will tell you that ultimately Wolves are in a terrible and perilous position. And let's be honest, the whole club could not be in a worse position in itself, with the ownership, with the managers, with the lack of player quality, with the lack of points on the board, more importantly, still winless in the Premier League this season. Absolutely insane. Now, today, there's a few slight positives. Strand Larsen on the score sheet, of course, it's a penalty. I don't think he did a hell of a lot in the overall game again, really. But you can tell he cares. People might think that's controversial, but I think he cares. I really do. I think Rodrigo Gomez was a positive today. I do think that Kiana Herver was okay. I think his delivery, leaves a lot to be desired, but I thought he was okay. I thought Tachua looked good off the bench. Joao Gomez looked good off the bench. I thought Andre was always his, imperious self, really. He looked very decent. But overall, Scott Parker is by far, I wouldn't say by far, I'd say Scott Parker and Daniel Farke are the worst gaffers in this league other than Vitor Pereira. And they've both comfortably had his pants down. Comfortably. Now, that may seem crazy because it is a 3-2 game, but ultimately they've done everything they needed to do. They've managed to run the clock down. They've managed to get a late goal. They've managed to win away from home. Their first away win, by the way, Burnley, this season. And it's just, genuinely, I have never been this concerned about Wolves as a football club. And I am so optimistic. I would love nothing more and would have loved nothing more than Vitor Pereira to get it right. Although, I did say when he came in, it's a weird appointment given his, managerial career and his record and stuff like that, given how many clubs he has been at for such short periods of time. But I would have loved Wolves to get it right. I want Wolves to be in the Premier League. Wolves are a Premier League club, in my personal opinion. Will they be a Premier League club come the end of the season? That remains to be seen. That really does remain to be seen. They need action in January. They need a new manager. Someone needs to come in and get something out of these players, whether they think these crop of players are good enough or not. There are certain players that can't get minutes in this side. Fer Lopez cannot get a kick for this Wolves side. I'm telling you now, he will be playing in a top flight somewhere around the world for a majority of his career, whether it's in the Bundesliga, whether it's in Spain, whether it's in Italy or France or Portugal. He will have a great career. But I tell you something, if he's sitting there every week thinking, I can't get a kick with a bunch of these on the pitch, come on, man. Save me, spare me the nonsense. He's better than most of these players on the pitch. Do you know what I mean? He just is. So there's so many players at Wolves that aren't good enough. Some are good enough that can't get in the team. Some are just out of rotten form. I think Tolu's good enough, but he hasn't really done much off the bench. And what can he really do in a game like that? They're just crossing the ball in. The ball's not falling for him, anything like that, really. And ultimately, Strand Larsen's out of massive form. So there's a lot of big issues, of course there is. I think it's going to take a real miracle to turn this round. I really, really sincerely hope Wolves do turn this around. I really hope that you have all enjoyed this video regardless. I hope that you share a bit of my frustration and we can sort of vent it together. And I did see a lot of comments last week on the match reaction after the Sunderland game saying that it was nice to just watch this video and then just sort of step away from watching football, reading about football, stuff like that, and then waiting until this weekend. And if you have waited until this weekend, I still feel sorry for you. But in all seriousness, if you did enjoy this video, thank you very much for watching it. I really do appreciate all of your support in the comments as well. I want to hear what you thought about the game, your main talking points. There will be a deeper dive of the game tomorrow with a more level head, of course, looking at the tactical aspect and that sort of things. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.